My son and I have been roaming the street in search of where to put our heads. 40-year-old lady speak on Ajao estate demolition. Welcome to the news and thank you for tuning in to listen. Please subscribe to our channel. To get notified when we post hot juicy news updates, please click on the notification bell. Dayo Ayeyemi writes on the pains and hopelessness of victims of recent building demolition in Lagos State and their tenders controversies. What happened on IK Peter Street off Murtala International Airport, Ajao Estate, saw in the last 1 week is purely a case of how not to build or buy landed property in Lagos. For the first time, the peace of the neighborhood which hosts choice properties was disrupted as 13 buildings in Runview Estate fell to government bulldozers for allegedly lacking planning approvals and permits that should have been issued by the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and Lagos State Building Control Agency, LASBCA, last year. Since the demolition took place, there had been public outcry about the wastages and untold hardship perceived to have been inflicted on the residents in the midst of over 17 million houses deficit in the country. Relevant authorities which authorized the controversial demolition have also been laboring to justify the exercise that have attracted widespread condemnation. However, barely 1 week after the demolition of 13 houses, affected residents, including the journalists, are yet to come to terms with what has befallen them in a neighborhood they claim to have lived for over 10 years without any hassles. For Mrs. Chioma Ekejuba, who is in her mid-40s, and her 11-year-old son, Martin, the center no longer holds as the demolition of the apartments has thrown them into the street. Since the demolition, she and her son have been roaming the street in search of where to put their heads. She shared her experience with Saturday Tribune at the scene of the demolition. She narrated how she received calls from her son while at work regarding the invasion of the community by the state government task force officials who came with bulldozers. According to her, by the time she rushed home to find out what was happening, the house was already being demolished without even being given the opportunity to evacuate her belongings. 5 days after the demolition, Ekejuba says she just managed to put up with a friend on another street not far from the location where her own residence used to stand. Since she could not remove any of her belongings before the bulldozer pulled down the building, the woman said she had been wearing the same clothes in the last 5 days. Stating how unlucky she was, Ekejuba says she moved into the house about a month ago as a tenant, noting that she pays 650,000 naira as rent for the building, which comprised 6 flats and a boys' quarters. She claimed to be ignorant of the status of the property before moving in, but the management of FAN came to serve the landlord notification papers 1 week before the demolition. As it is now, Mrs. Ekejuba says she has nowhere to lay her head. She is planning to get some planks and build a makeshift house on one of the empty plots in the community. She appealed to well-meaning Nigerians to come to her aid. Ekejuba said, "I am a tenant here, and some of my belongings are still in the rubble. It all happened last week, Thursday, when coming from work. Already my son had been calling me and I could not pick the calls. Immediately I got close to my house, I saw people, especially my neighbors, running helter-skelter. Looking up, I saw that they have already demolished our house. As I talk to you, I have not really gotten anywhere to stay. There was a friend I kept my belongings with. The most traumatic experience, she said, was her son that couldn't stay in school since the incident, claiming the boy said he could not assimilate anything in school due to the ugly experience. I tried to send my son to school today. The boy could not see. He ran back home on the excuse that he could not cope, that the trauma of the demolition was too much for him to bear," she said. When asked about her landlord, Ekejuba said he was not living in the neighborhood, but she suspected there is political undertone to what happened in the neighborhood. According to her, the rumor was that 13 buildings were demolished as a part of the fallout of the last elections in Lagos State. Why is it this period after the election that they came to demolish our buildings? We were told they had been coming to serve papers and they collected 5 million naira yearly from the affected landlord, she said. There was also the case of another affected resident in the community who hired a bus to take him and his entire family back to the south is after the incident. Saturday Tribune was told during the visit, the resident, Diana Ogbunefu, who stayed in the makeshift structures that she had lived in the neighborhood for 10 years. Ogbunefu, who disclosed that she lived in the makeshift house with her parents, said there was no place to relocate to, even as a bulldozer was bringing down the house next to her temporary residence. She said it was true that fund management have been pasting notices on houses around the neighborhood asking people to vacate and claiming that the affected properties were sitting on gas pipelines. They have been coming to serve papers. They always pasted them on the wall or frontage of each gate, she said. During Saturday's tribune visit to the vicinity, none of the landlords of the affected buildings was sighted and none could be reached as of the press time. A journalist story. Meanwhile, media reports had identified a former editor of the Guardian newspapers and ex-deputy managing director of the New Telegraph, Mr. Felix Ugujofo Abogu, as a victim of a demolition exercise. He also confirmed being an affected landlord at a media parley, but efforts by Saturday Tribune to engage him one-on-one and further development in the landlord's engagement with authorities in charge of the exercise did not yield any fruit. Sincerely, this is very, very saddening. See, the worst thing that can happen to you is to have not to have a roof over your head. You will not, there's nothing you'll be able to do. Maybe when you get a house, I beg you will come there, remember, say, oh, I never even eat since. I never even eat. I never wash my clothes. I never did this one. Naim na. But if you not get where you go stay, you are going to be disorganized. My heart goes out to each and every one of them. And this is certainly not the way they planned it to go. But I just sincerely hope that things work out for all of them. And this is the sign that if they have been pasting notices around your area, I beg, don't ignore. No ignore saying they no go come. And those people that used to collect 5 million naira yearly from them as well, they should also find them. It is not the right way to do things, because in my heart, I am thinking, had it been they did not collect the funds, Had it been they did not collect the funds, Had it been they did collect the funds, then they would have known that it is a serious issue. Everybody go find a way, pack come out, where you don't say, you give these people money, you, then no we collect. Alright, on this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.